All right, sorry, thank you.
No problem. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Law at the Library, a partnership between the Chicago Bar Association, Evanston Public Library, and the Chicago Public Library. My name is Lorena Neal. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the legal literacy librarian at the Evanston Public Library. We're delighted to have everyone here tonight for this presentation on how to find a lawyer when you can't afford one. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the format for this evening, and then we will get started. I will introduce our speaker, who will then give a presentation, followed by a question and answer period. If you have any questions for our speaker, please type them into the Q&A window, which you will find near the bottom of your screen. And you can also use the chat feature to ask your questions. I will collect your questions as they come up and give our presenter the opportunity to answer them at the end. So feel free to add your questions whenever you think of them. If you have any technical issues or questions, you can feel free to direct those to me in the chat or Q&A as well. Our next Law at the Library session will be on October 15th. The topic will be wills, trust, and estate planning. I will try to put the link to register in the chat, but the chat is being strange. So if not, look on our website to see if you can find that. You can always see videos of previous presentations on the Evanston Public Library's YouTube page. I will post a link if possible to our playlist in the chat. If not, a link will go out as soon as that is put up to everyone who's registered for this program. We do also have a list of general free and low cost legal resources on the EPL website, epl.org. I'll try to link that in the chat also, but if not, look there for legal resources as well. Our speaker tonight is Roya Samargandhi. She is the Chicago Bar Foundation's Chief Advocacy and Innovation Officer. Roya plays a key role in the CBF's mission through her work on legislative and policy advocacy, innovation initiatives, and the CBF Legal Aid Academy. She also received her JD from the University of Illinois College of Law, and she also holds a Master's of Law degree in International Human Rights from the University of Nottingham School of Law in the UK. We're thrilled to have you here tonight, Roya, and I will turn things over to you.
Thank you. And you may see my little dog wandering behind me. Hopefully it's not too distracting. He is eager to turn into playtime tonight. I'm thrilled to be here, and I hopefully will be able to share my screen. My goal today is to really walk you through the options, kind of regardless of where you are on the income spectrum. And so one thing I will say is we in the Chicagoland area are incredibly lucky to be part of a really robust ecosystem of legal aid organizations, of private practitioners, of attorneys at large law firms and corporations who are committed to advancing access to justice through offering pro bono. The more I travel and get to speak to people from other parts of the country, the more I realize how unusual it is that we have such an ecosystem here. And so my goal tonight is to really give you a little bit of a peek into that ecosystem and how you might best be able to leverage it in the event that you do need assistance with a legal issue. So let me start my screen share. All right. I start with this graphic for a variety of reasons. As Lorena mentioned, part of my role is in innovation initiatives, and that covers the spectrum of folks that are needing assistance with free legal services and those that maybe are above income eligibility for those free legal services. This is a graphic I use very often because it really gives an idea of what the legal market looks like and kind of where it's failing. So the rain is there to indicate legal problems. The umbrella is there to indicate legal solutions and access to legal help. And if we look at the far left-hand side of the graphic, you do have a big bold, or big, I shouldn't say bold, big Gulf umbrella covering about 25% of folks that are income eligible. But you'll notice that the umbrella is rather tattered, and that is in recognition of the fact that while folks in this segment of our community are likely to qualify for free legal services, we also recognize that those resources are scarce and people are doing the best with what they can. I think we also have to acknowledge the reality that some of these programs are at risk of losing federal funding, and so that could be result in an umbrella that's even more tattered. So that is where legal aid and pro bono really is meant to cover. On the far right-hand side of the graphic is a nice big, completely, intact umbrella that represents corporate and higher income clients. And for the most part, those folks are doing well in the legal market. They have the income, the flexibility in their financial resources to get any lawyer they need when they need it, right? A lot of my work actually focuses on those folks in the middle, which in reality represents 50% of our community, of our population. They are what we call above the line, above income eligibility to qualify for that free legal or pro bono service, but feel or are priced out of the traditional legal market. And so oftentimes, and you all may resonate with this, you may have a legal issue, but you just decide to go a different way or not pursue it because you feel like you're not going to be able to afford an attorney who can help you. As we talk today, I want to flag and highlight a few different options for you, and they very likely are on the link that Lorena just dropped in the chat for the free and low cost legal resources. But I just want to walk through those and identify what circumstances they may be most beneficial to you, and what are some options as you kind of move through the complexity of your problem, or you're identifying what financial resources you might have to put towards it. I want to note that I want this to be as conversational as possible. So please do use that chat feature Q&A. This is not a slide presentation. These are things that I've pulled up, and a lot of them are actually going to be websites, but happy to follow up with a copy of this slide and a link to the websites, though I anticipate the EPL website has a lot of them. So thank you for that question. There's some specific questions about types of cases, and I'm happy to circle back to those in a moment. But let's move on to talk about where you might be able to find legal resources. As I mentioned, we have a really robust ecosystem in the greater Chicagoland area, and there are a lot of free resources that you may qualify for. Keep in mind, a lot of them have a variety of restrictions that could be not just income-based, it could be based on your status or your residency, or it could be based on a particular type of law. And so we have some resources here. And again, I'm happy to share these with you. I can drop them in the chat as well, I believe. All right, hopefully that came through. Too many screens. So this is across the state of Illinois. I know there are folks mostly coming in from Evanston and Chicago, and we'll talk about some specific resources for folks. These are all free legal resources. So Prairie State and Land of Lincoln are, between the two of them cover the entire state and have a really robust program covering most civil cases. I should note civil versus criminal. Criminal is, when the state of Illinois is prosecuting someone on behalf of the people of the state. The Constitution guarantees that those folks will have access to a lawyer, even if they can't afford one. The public defender will represent them. So what we're really focusing on is the other side of that coin. So the civil cases where you might be in a lawsuit with another person or another entity or organization or company. So between Prairie State and Land of Lincoln, you can get almost all help with any type of civil case that you might have. Now, there's some very specific types of free legal help that's also available dependent upon kind of who you are, what your background might be, or what type of case you're dealing with. So here you can see there's the Illinois Armed Forces Legal Aid Network for veterans, National Guards, and their spouses or dependents, their relatives. there are particular resources set aside for legal services to help those service members. Eviction Help Illinois, again, is a free legal resource for those facing eviction or smaller landlords that are looking to evict someone. New Leaf helps with the dealing of criminal records related to cannabis arrests in Illinois. So again, a very niche kind of assistance, but one that's making a really big impact for folks across the state. And then there's the Domestic Violence Helpline, which of course helps in emergency situations for those that are imminently facing or have faced domestic violence or survivors and victims of domestic violence. We're going to talk about some of these court-based resources in a moment, and then we'll touch on some of these lawyer referral services. But if we're going to dive into Cook County, there's CARPLS, which is the Cook County Legal Advice Hotline. There's CLAD, which is a horrible acronym, which is the Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt. I'm going to dig into CARPLS in a moment, but this CLAD program is a court-based program that provides assistance in instances of foreclosure, eviction, debt collection, and property tax issues. And by virtue of just having a case in court dealing with one of those issues, you should be able to find yourself navigated into this CLAD program. The Center for Conflict Resolution and Mediation Services is actually part of this CLAD program and running some of the mediation that is a part of it. But this is a place where you can get free help in talking to the other side and seeing if you can reach a resolution without the necessity of engaging attorneys or going through a full court process. Again, we've got some of those resources that we talked about before, obviously available statewide, also available specifically in Cook County. And so let me, again, I will happily share these. Hopefully there are copies of these available to you in other places, but I did drop that in the chat. I'm going to plug a little bit. This is the Chicago Bar Foundation website, which is just chicagobarfoundation.org. On our website has legal resources for the public, and those are both free and affordable resources. A lot of what we've talked about, you are going to find on this webpage, including links and phone numbers in the event that you want to connect with someone. So this is a great first place to start. Again, you've got a phone number for the Cook County Legal Aid for Housing and Debt program, for CARPLS Legal Aid. Illinois Justice Corps is something that I want to particularly touch on. It is a program that is statewide, though it's not in each and every courthouse throughout the state. In Cook County specifically, there are 5 Justice Corps members predominantly placed at the Daly Center, though they do shifts throughout the suburban courthouses as well. They're usually there one day a week or every other week. So you can connect with your local courthouse about that. But these are recent college graduates who have been trained to be docents within the courthouse. They are physically present. There is a resource center for people without lawyers in the concourse level of the Daly Center, which is that level just below street level. And then it's in CL 29, CL being concourse. And they are there 5 days a week from 8:30 to 4:30, and they can help with a variety of things. They can help you e-file paperwork or draft an exemption to e-file. Little tidbit from me to you, I find the e-filing system really not intuitive. It's hard. And so there are a lot of folks that just find it difficult to navigate and choose to try to do the exemption. They can help folks connect with help desks that are available within the Resource Center. They can help with court forms, fee waivers, and a whole host of other resources. These Illinois Justice Corps members cannot give legal advice. So they're not a stand-in for a lawyer, but they can give legal information. And oftentimes that may be what you need. You may just need someone that will help you identify which court form you should be filing, or can help you identify what the procedure is now that you filed a petition for dissolution of marriage. They are there to help you walk through the process and help you navigate the court system. And sometimes that includes just navigating the courthouse itself. And so they are an incredible resource. They are court-based, so you do have to find them in the courthouse. There is a hotline and some remote services, but those are limited. So for the most part, it is a court-based service. We'll talk about Illinois Legal Aid Online and some of the paid options for you momentarily, but let me jump down. I'm gonna close these as I do it. Illinois Legal Aid Online is awesome. I'm gonna just say it's awesome. It is, or should be, kind of a first stop for legal information. Like Illinois Justice Corps, Illinois Legal Aid Online is just legal information. It's not going to connect you directly with a lawyer, though they do have an option to help you find a referral. But it is very great in helping work through plain language. You don't have to try to think of what a legal question might be. You can just say, I have an issue with roaches in my apartment and my landlord isn't responding. They have this incredible Ask Aleo AI tool that shifts through their own internal database of information, articles, blog posts, all of that, and comes up with things that are best suited to respond to your legal question or your legal need. This is an incredible option. It is statewide. It is continuously being updated. And it's also available in multiple languages. And so I encourage folks, if they're looking just for legal help, or they don't know what a parental allocation may be, this is a great place to start. It also is a conduit to other resources and referrals. One great thing that Illinois Legal Aid Online does is, and this is not kind of ubiquitous across the site, but they have implemented for some things what they call guided interviews. And so it will take you from, a series of questions, and at the end of the guided interview, it will have drafted and made available to you a pre-populated form that you can then take and file. Without having to kind of sit through the form yourself and determine, what goes where do you put your name versus the other party's name, things like that. This is a great resource, and one that I, again, encourage folks to utilize as kind of a first stop shop. CARPLS has a really long, old acronym. I'm not even actually going to try to remember it right now. It did stand for something, but it's now just CARPLS. And it is a great central resource for folks that are looking to connect with a legal aid organization. You can see here they have this hotline number that you can call, and they will kind of triage your case and help connect you with a legal aid organization to the extent that you qualify. And if you don't, they will also make a referral for you. They provide brief legal advice. So they may be able to give you kind of a case assessment. They may be able to tell you if the statute of limitations has passed. They may be able to tell you kind of that you need to file a summons for the other party. So letting the other party know that you have filed a case. But this is a great resource. Again, brief legal advice. They will not go to court with you or anything like that. They can help you draft like demand letters or things of that nature. But really, I look to it as an initial and kind of central clearinghouse for getting connected to a legal aid organization. Illinois Court Help is another great resource. This is going to be back on that kind of legal information side of things. And as you can see, it connects folks with the information they need to go to court for free. Hopefully you guys can see this. My own face is blocking it, but they have a text or a call option here, which I think is pretty great, as well as an ask a question and FAQs. And you can see that this website is fully translated into Spanish. These folks are available traditionally during business hours, so it's not something you could utilize on nights or weekends when a lot of folks are kind of having the moment to think through what their legal problems might be. But if you don't know what your case number is, if you don't know when your next court date is, if you just need information about where your court is being held, is it virtual or in person, this is a great option, and it's a very quick call or text, and they can provide you the relevant information. They also are pretty good about walking folks through e-filing. So if you're in that system and are just having trouble navigating it, this is a great place to go as well. I'm going to just check the Q&As to make sure I'm not jumping over anything. All right, we'll come back to those kind of practice specific ones in a moment. Lastly, I want to flag before we kind of transition outside of the free legal help or legal information. This is a Cook County based website. Let me get us back to the top for information for people without lawyers. This has a whole host of different resources. You can see, you can look up a case, find Zoom information, learn about the courthouse, find a lawyer to hire. There's all kinds of stuff on this page. One thing I think is important to note coming off this page is these help desks in the courthouse. So I think somebody asked about maybe landlord help. So there are specific desks. Most of them are in that resource center for people without lawyers that I mentioned earlier. With regard to the Illinois Justice Corps folks, in that same space are some of the help desks. So family and children, if you click on this button, if I do it correctly, there we go. You can find information about the Carpels Domestic Relations Advice Desk. Again, located in that CL 29 at the Daly Center downtown. They do have walk-ins. They can also make appointments, but they can help in real time how drafting documents and kind of helping you get through some of the more pleading heavy or document heavy pieces of your case. There are similar desks for issues around, let's say, housing and eviction. So there's one in the Markham Courthouse through Legal Aid Chicago. And then there's a foreclosure advice desk, again, at CL 29 at the Daly Center. And then there is a mortgage foreclosure mediation program. And they are available by appointment. And you can see there's a phone number there. So this is a great place to start if you're wanting, just some immediate help. I shouldn't say immediate, but if you're wanting some kind of one-on-one help on a particular issue, these desks are either available in person at the courthouses or available remotely by phone or by Zoom. And so this, I just wanted to flag as a place to start for these particular types of issues. There may be a help desk that is court-based that you can utilize as well. Lastly, because I'm presenting for the Evanston Public Library and the Chicago Public Libraries, I have to take a moment to talk about the Court Access Library Centers. Lorena on this call has been a part of this process and an incredible partner in this project. It's the project that I get to work on in getting to go to libraries across the state. So I have a particular affinity for it. But these court access library centers were developed in response to the recognition that folks may have transportation challenges or just technology limitations in accessing some of the court-based resources. So they may not be able to get to their local courthouse to get help from a Justice Corps member, or they may not be able to log in to a Zoom court appearance at home because they're not quite sure how to use Zoom. What we've done in partnership with the Secretary of State's office, who is also the state librarian, I did not know that until I started this project, and with the Commission on Access to Justice at the Illinois Supreme Court, we have worked to implement a pilot project, and we're still in the pilot phase, placing these court access library centers in 18 libraries throughout the state. And in them, you can see here our participating libraries. The locations in Chicago are Harold Washington, Sulzer, Woodson, and I'm blanking on one, bear with me. But you can see there are locations throughout the state, and there may be one closer to you than I have just named. All of these locations have dedicated equipment that you can utilize for purposes of accessing legal information or participating in court remotely. Some of the resources that I've highlighted today are also available on that dedicated equipment. And the librarians at these locations, some of which have been trained particularly on providing legal information, including helping to access referrals and give appropriate referrals for folks, but also to provide a lot of the services that we've talked about in terms of legal information. They can help you fill out court forms. They can help you participate in a remote court appearance. They can help you e-file. There's a lot of solutions and resources that are available directly in these public libraries. And really, it's recognizing the role that libraries play in their community, including in offering programs like the one I've gotten to be a part of tonight. And so, recognizing that they are places that folks already turn to for help and for information, it was kind of a no-brainer for us to partner with the public libraries in bringing a lot of these resources that exist currently only in courthouses out into the community and meet people where they are. All right, so let's say you are over income to qualify for legal aid. Perhaps your other party in the case has contacted legal aid and you've been conflicted out. Or you are, legal aid just doesn't have the capacity or the resources to help you at that time. There are a lot of other options that range in cost that you can tap into, and I think is really important to highlight tonight, because one of the things that we've come to recognize, and I'm hearkening back to that umbrella slide that I started with at the beginning, is understanding that there are folks that are just above that income eligibility, or even folks well into the middle class that look at the prospect of paying $300, $400 an hour to an attorney with no real concept or understanding of what that end cost is going to be, and just feel like that is not an option for them. And so one thing I would like to highlight is the Chicago Bar Foundation's Justice Entrepreneurs Project. It is a program I went through back in 2015. The project itself is an incubator program helping folks build sustainable and socially conscious law practices serving the middle class. So we have a directory, and not everyone is on this webpage, but we have a directory or a network of folks, I should say, of about 60 attorneys who are providing a variety of different services in different practice areas in different counties. Our goal is really to be as robust of a network and providing legal services to the middle class as we can be. Each of these attorneys runs their own independent law practice, and so they, set their own fees and assess their own clients. But one thing that all of these folks have in common is that they are offering predictable and transparent fees. So what that means for you as a potential client of someone is at the outset, you should have an understanding of what those costs may be. It may be a flat fee. It could be a monthly subscription fee so that you can build that into your budget each month. It could be a contingency fee, which means you don't pay anything unless you win. So there's a lot of different options here, and all of these folks offer different services and are available for cost, but are available and eager to help people in the middle class and to offer solutions, both in terms of the scope of their services, but also in terms of the price of their services. So again, this is a project of the Chicago Bar Foundation. I'm an alumni of it. I actually just came from a training for it. But these are really folks that have committed to doing things a different way and meeting the need of that 50% gap in the umbrella coverage to try to meet the need and help those that otherwise feel priced out of the legal market. I also have to give a shout out to the Chicago Bar Association's lawyer referral service. This is a great option if you are looking to hire a lawyer as well in Cook County. I'm jumping all around their website, sorry there. In Cook County or the greater Chicagoland area. You can get an online referral. You can give them a call. The Bar Association has a great network of folks that are members of the CBA, who again have committed to being part of this lawyer referral service and are available to discuss whether they can cover and handle your case with you. And so again, you can go on the chicagobar.org and just look for their legal or lawyer referral service and get connected with a lawyer there as well. If you are kind of outside the broader Chicagoland area, the Illinois State Bar Association also has a lawyer referral service that would be available to you as well. So I think I did okay on time. Keep me honest, Lorena. But let me stop sharing there and let's talk about some of these Q&As.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
So far. Let's see. So a lot of the questions in the Q&A are about finding individual pro bono lawyers that are not part of legal aid organizations. Does that exist? And if so, how would you find it?
Sure. So there are a few different ways to get connected to a pro bono attorney. Just calling the Bar Association lawyer referral and saying, I want a pro bono attorney is going to be a mismatch there. So lawyer referral is really intended to build out a connection with an attorney that's offering paid for services. We have a director of pro bono and training, Sarah Blair, that helps connect folks with pro bono opportunity or pro bono opportunities, yes, for lawyers, but can also help navigate towards existing clinics or other opportunities for folks that may be looking to connect with a pro bono attorney. But really, I would say if you're looking for a pro bono attorney, probably the best place to start is Chicago Volunteer Legal Services. By virtue of their name, they are built around a volunteer network of attorneys, all of whom have committed to providing pro bono services. And so that is one great place to start. They are a legal aid organization. Carpals can connect you to them as well. But they're a great place to get connected to pro bono services. I would also look to a lot of the law schools have clinics where their students are receiving experiential learning through the clinics under the supervision of a professor. And they offer some really incredible services, often for pro bono or low cost fees. And so depending on the issue, it'll just depend. Pro bono options are kind of an evolving service. we just had a service on 9/11 that was in conjunction with the Wills for Heroes program, where first responders and others could connect with an attorney and have a will drafted for them on that day. There are, opportunities like that that kind of circulate throughout the year but may not be kind of consistently available, if that makes sense.
All right, great. Thank you for that. In terms of trying to find help with keeping disability benefits, are there any particular organizations that spring to mind with helping with that?
Sure. I will give you a couple of options. One is the Lorena, you might have to help me. I know the acronym and I can't think of the name. Bear with me. I'm going to look it up. Too many acronyms.
I know. I can think of Equip for Equality off the top of my head and Center for Disabled and Elderly Law, or Center for Disability and Elder Law.
Yeah, that's both of great options. The other one I was thinking of was Legal Counsel for Health Justice.
Yeah.
They are great. Again, we just named three great options off the top of our head. Again, I think that goes to the robustness of Chicago's community. I will also flag Stacy Dembo, who is part of the Justice Entrepreneurs Project. Her entire practice is disability and SSDI benefits. And again, that's a contingency practice. And so if you're looking for additional help, or if those other 3 legal aid organizations are not available to you, she's a great option. And I routinely refer folks her way. So
what is her law firm or her contact information?
Her law firm is Dembo Law, and I will drop her website into, I keep typing on the wrong thing. In the chat. So.
Great. And those 3 other organizations that Roy and I were discussing, those are all on the list at Evanston Public Library's low-cost legal resources page that was dropped in the chat earlier. So you can find contact information for all of those organizations there. Sometimes it helps if you know how to keyword search on a page, use Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac, just for disability on that page. That'll help you narrow down really quickly who can help you with that particular issue. Same thing goes, of course, for any other legal issue you're looking for. If you keyword search that page on your legal issue, you can find organizations that help with that really quickly. One of the other questions was about resources for new homeowners and landlords. Is there anyone who specifically helps with that?
I think it would depend on kind of what the issue might be that you're looking for. So if it is, you have tenants that you want to evict, there are certainly resources, including a help desk at the resource center. Law Center for Better Housing helps small landlords as well. So I think it would depend on kind of what your legal issue might be. So if you want to specify, I'll do a little bit further digging to try to respond more thoroughly to that question. But yeah, that's one option. I also realized, and thank you to the person that flagged it, that you all were not seeing my chats because I was sending them to the hosts and the panelists, which is not helpful. So
that always gets me.
Yes, let me get back to dropping in also those finding legal help sheets, since you did not get that either.
Okay.
And Maria, just flagging, because I see in your Q&A, it's Dembo with an O, law.com.
All right. And then the other specific type of lawyer that was asked about was a malpractice lawyer through one of these services. Do you know of any in particular that specializes in malpractice? I don't know. Legal malpractice, health malpractice probably makes a difference.
Yeah, it would make a difference. So if the person can specify what type of malpractice they are looking for, I think there are a lot of options depending on what type of malpractice and what side of the coin you're on, for that. There are some real powerhouse firms that are willing to take on like a medical malpractice case on a contingency basis. So it kind of depends on whether you are, let's say, a lawyer looking to get malpractice coverage, or someone that needs assistance in bringing a lawsuit for malpractice. So yeah, let's see if we can clarify that bit. And I'm going to drop a couple of our CBF. I know there was a question about Sarah's contact information. Let me just put our website in the chat as well. There's a lot of good resources on there.
The participant says health or dental malpractice, low cost. So,
okay. Are you the victim of malpractice? In which case I would recommend probably going to the Chicago Bar Association's lawyer referral service, and seeking to get connected with a personal injury lawyer there. A lot of times they take those cases on a contingency fee. So again, they only get paid if they win on your behalf. We generally, I don't know that any legal aid organizations do malpractice, actually, because there's a pretty big market for that, depending on the, unfortunately, the level of injury and things of that nature. But happy to brainstorm with you around that if you'd like to.
great. We have another question about someone who asked a hospital for medical records and they sent the wrong ones, possibly even someone else's. Do you have any suggestions for what they should do in this case?
Wow, there's a lot to dig in there. You've received somebody else's personal health information, which is a big no-no from a hospital.
Yes.
So first and foremost, I would probably tell you to shred those documents, and then immediately call the records department and let them know. Depending on, what you want to do with that, you could take it from there. The person whose records you received is probably the one that would have any type of claim around their personal health information being disclosed in an unauthorized way. But if you're the recipient, I would just suggest going ahead and shredding all of those documents, or otherwise, fully destroying them, and letting the hospital know of their mistake as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's usually an ombudsman in hospitals connected with their records departments if you have any record requests. So that would probably be a good place to direct the problem to.
It's a great option. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wow. We've had a couple of questions in the chat or the Q&A about immigration resources in particular. I know it's obviously very important right now. It's constantly evolving. There are new groups being formed. And I believe we are working on a new handout at Evanston Public Library, and we'll have paper copies available at the desks. But I wanted to check in with you, Roy. I dropped our current handout on immigration and citizenship resources in the chat. And then, Roy, I wanted to check with you and see if everything evolving as rapidly as it is in that area, if there were organizations you wanted particularly to recommend.
Yes. So let me, even before we get into the organizations, I just dropped in the chat what we call the Immigration Hub. It's IllinoisImmigrationInfo.org. It is the result of many, many organizations, as well as government entities, including the state, the city, the county, coming together, kind of recognizing the moment that we're in, and pulling together resources in kind of a centralized location. If you or someone has concerns about what their rights might be, or if they have an immigration emergency, that is a great first place to start. And there's a lot of resources that you can delve into, both legal and non-legal, from there. National Immigrant National Immigrant Justice Center is an incredible organization that is really on the front lines of this, but there are many others, including the farm workers and it's FLAP, farm workers, landscapers.
Something, yes.
Again, too many acronyms. Let me get there.
On the handout I just put in.
I should have had all of these things pulled up and ready to drop in the chat. There are Latinos Progresando, who is based in Little Village. They recently were on the news because they were vandalized, but they're offering really great legal resources and help. And so this is an area where I think because of the focus that has been placed nationally on Chicago, there's a real recognition that folks are anxious and may very well be having real-time concerns or issues or whatever it might be. And so again, that Illinois Immigration Hub is a great place to start, but there are a lot of organizations, again, both legal and otherwise, that are working together to meet the moment. And so please share the hub information out broadly. And again, NIJC, National Immigrant Justice Center, Latinos Progresando, forgive me for my Spanish accent there, and FLAP are three that come to mind that are providing direct services in immigration-related matters.
Mm-hmm. Great. Someone else wants to know where they can get a copy of their court case records.
So their Cook County website has the option to look up your case, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to pull the records for that. That's something that I would recommend connecting with one of the court-based resources. You can go to the clerk's website and ask for them. There are some places like Lorena where you may be able to go to a community-based organization and get those records directly. And so it kind of depends on where you are. Obviously, the courthouse is the most inherent one, but some of the other resources that we touched on, including carpals, including your local librarians, others that can pull that information for you.
Great, thank you for that. Do you have any thoughts on lawyers that deal with cybersecurity?
Ooh, it's an interesting question. You might have stumped me on that one. There are a lot of lawyers who are working on kind of best practices. They're advising clients on how to protect themselves from cybersecurity threats. I actually can't think of anyone off the top of my head that is providing kind of direct client service in the realm of cybersecurity. You might have stumped me.
Yeah, possibly Chicago Bar Association might.
Yeah, that would be probably the best place to start. But yeah, nobody comes to mind, particularly in the legal aid realm. I think that is something that is beyond their capacity. But you're dead on, Lorena, that the CBA's lawyer referral service would probably be best to connect with someone there.
We have another question about accessing out-of-state records, specifically state of New York family law. I would assume you would need to contact the court in New York directly to get those?
That would be my recommendation, is go directly to the jurisdiction that holds the court records and ask them to provide you a copy of them. I will flag, there are some states or jurisdictions where their court records are free and readily available. There are some places like Cook County where they're kind of behind a wall and not as easily or readily available, even though they are public records. So my suggestion, depending on whether you are a someone that uses the phone regularly, or if you're a Gen Zer and prefer to do things online. There are a couple of options. One, as Lorena mentioned, is just to call. The other thing to do is just Google. If it's the New York Superior Court in New York City, and just Google court records. A lot of times you can get to what you're needing to get to directly through the website if they are publicly available. If they're not, I should flag that it may be an instance where they are gonna make you pay. So be prepared for that. Sometimes you can get them to send them to you electronically at a much cheaper cost, but if you're looking for hard copies, those fees end up being incurred rapidly.
There was a question also about family law, child custody, child support, which I believe now is called maintenance in the state of Illinois.
Maintenance is what is formerly known as alimony.
Yeah.
Child support remains. Custody is no longer a legal term that exists in Illinois. It's parental allocation, which is really around decision making. And then parenting time is kind of what most folks think of as visitation. That was a fun brand new law in 2016 that they decided to just change all the terms on. But there are really great options in family law just because of the ubiquitous nature of those cases. A lot of legal aid organizations offer those types of services. And so I would check out that handout that was just put in the chat. I'm sure a lot of the resources are available there. And again, if for any reason you're not quite sure where to start, Carpels is always a good first phone call.
Then we have a question about the lawyers you see on TV. What's your experience with them and their costs and services?
Lawyers you see on TV. Okay. So there's like the real big shot lawyers that you're going to see on, CNN and Fox News and national broadcasts. They're going to be pretty expensive. Some of them are not necessarily even actively practicing law. They make a great living being on TV. And maybe we'll be there too someday. We will not. I will not, at least. There are others more localized that I think because they're embedded, the reason they're on TV is more than likely because they're embedded in the community that they're serving. And I am more confident that those folks are either going to be part of a legal aid organization or are going to recognize the needs of the clients that they're serving and be a little bit more affordable. That is not a across the board guarantee. There are some folks that by virtue of being kind of out and in the public eye, that causes them to maybe increase their fees. But I can think of a lot of folks in many of the organizations that we have talked about tonight, many of the incredible legal aid organizations that serve our community.
I think, what about like the ones that are, advertised, like, the jingles and the billboards and whatnot? Are they generally reliable, or is it buyer beware? Oops, I think you're frozen. Or am I frozen? Oops. I can't tell if Roya can still hear me. I can't tell if you can still hear me. I think Roya's connection has dropped. So I will try. Yep, we lost her connection. So we'll see if she signs back in real quick here. If not, the links I put in the chat should cover, I think, most of the organizations that she's probably going to talk about. There was a question about surgery in the 1990s. I'm sorry we didn't get to that. It's probably past the statute of limitations, you can always contact the lawyer referral service, the Chicago Bar Association lawyer referral service, and ask to speak to a lawyer about that topic in particular. They also do have, actually this Saturday is their free Saturday, where you can call in and speak to a lawyer about general questions from 9 to noon. So let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Let's see.
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
There, right.
I got the boot.
Let me pop this just in. I was just talking about the lawyer, the Chicago Bar Association has the lawyer referral service, but also the third Saturday of every month, they have a free call a lawyer service where you can speak to someone in person from 9 to noon. Again, it's the third Saturday of every month, which happens to be this Saturday. I put the link to the lawyer referral service, but the number to call for the third Saturday is the same phone number. And if you go to the website, you can also find it there. So just wanted to give that
That's
up.
on me for failing to flag that. So thank you for putting that up.
No problem. And I was just talking about the question, I was talking about with respect to the question about someone who had surgery in the 90s and had questions about that. And that might be a good resource for them. Did you have any other thoughts on that?
No, thank you for picking up my slack.
No problem. Let's see. Is it worth speaking to a lawyer for lease creation, or would it be better to use the AI resource you provided earlier?
Illinois Legal Aid Online may have a lease, a template lease. I would not recommend using one that you get off the internet randomly. The city of Chicago has a particular ordinance that covers leases within its jurisdiction, all of which is to say each local area is going to have requirements that are going to be needed to be in the lease, or that are going to be enforced if you need to enforce the lease. That's going to be important for you to think through and anticipate as you're drafting a lease. And so I don't know specifically, I can't confirm that Illinois Legal Aid Online has one available. But if not, I would definitely recommend either reaching out to like Law Center for Better Housing, or connecting with another lawyer to have them help you draft that, particularly if it's something that you're going to want to use over and over again. I think that's an investment that would be well worthwhile.
Yeah, Evanston has its own landlord tenant ordinance also. So I think they have a sample lease on the city of Evanston's website if you look under landlord tenant issues. And the same will probably be true of, a number of other towns. So that might be another place to start, is just your city where your building is, look and see if they have a template lease that they require, at least as the basis. So.
Yeah.
All right. For issues with DCFS, do you have any particular recommendations?
I do. That one I can say.
All right.
Vehemently, Ascend Justice is going to be your go-to, and that's Ascend, ASCEND Justice. They have an entire child protection and parental rights program that they offer, in addition to many of their domestic violence programs. I got trained on those DCFS cases through Ascend Justice. I continued to be a pro bono volunteer with them while I was still practicing. They're incredible and know the ins and outs of that system. So for those types of cases, I highly, highly recommend Ascend Justice.
All right. And someone has a question about a particular law firm, Nash Law. I don't know if you can speak about particular law firms, or if that's something that's best left to just see what CBA has to say.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yes, the Chicago Bar Association, they work on accrediting, and vetting the law firms and the lawyers that they work with. So they are a good resource for that. Someone wants to know how to prepare for planned civil disobedience arrest or protest arrests.
Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. They're a great place to start. They have a lot of kind of know your rights resources, particularly around interacting with the police in situations of peaceful protests and civil disobedience. They are kind of at the forefront within the community of navigating those types of situations. And so that and the Chicago Lawyers Guild or the National Lawyers Guild, again, are great at particularly more mass protests. In the wake of George Floyd's murder, the Lawyers Guild, both in Chicago and nationally, really coalesced a lot of pro bono attorneys around providing criminal representation for folks that maybe had gotten misdemeanors or whatever during those protests. But for kind of individualized assistance and guidance, I would look to Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights.
Great, thank you. And I put both of those links in the chat also. So hopefully the person can see them. Let's see, does anyone help someone dependent on one of the CHA's programs?
Law Center.
CHA.
Yeah, Law Center for Better Housing, I think, would be my suggested go-to there. Assuming it's a voucher issue, there are some private attorneys or nonprofit kind of sliding scale attorneys that will assist in those instances too, but I would recommend starting with Law Center for Better Housing.
All right, and I'll put that in the chat here too, lcbh.org. All right, we have gone over our time a little bit. I know we started a little late, but so glad that you were able to stay and help us. It's been so helpful to hear about all these organizations from someone who knows them so well. We really appreciate the time that you put into this. And then just a question, I can't remember now. I know you were doing a lot of live moving about the website. Did you have slides or was it pretty much just the one sort of umbrella slide?
Yeah, that was really the only slide.
Okay.
And if that's of interest to folks, I'm happy to share it.
Okay.
If anyone ever sees me present, I probably will show that slide again on almost any topic.
Okay.
But yes, if anyone's interested, I'm happy to share that. The rest were just websites. And hopefully I think Lorraine has been great in capturing all of them in real time. Or they probably are already on the EPL website. So you should have access to those. I'm available. Hopefully you have my contact information if you need anything, or you can go to the Chicago Bar Foundation website. Please reach out. These are obviously things I'm super passionate about. I'm grateful to be part of the broader Chicago legal community and really grateful, most importantly, for the opportunity to be with you today. And thanks for your patience with my tech issues and other things. So
we know how Chicago traffic can be, so we understand. All right, well, thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank
and
you.
I will send out to everyone who's registered for this program, I will send out the download that Roya shared, her contact information, and the link to this recording once it's up on our YouTube site, and all that good stuff. So thank you everyone for being here and have a great night.
Take care.
All right, you too.